All right, Shalom. Shalom. I'm Mariah Allah coming at you with another lesson straight out of the Lion's Den camp of Yashalom. But before I get started with this lesson, I would like to give all praises to the Heavenly Father in the name of His only begotten Son in their proper true names. We're going to start off by saying, Call, Halayim, La, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Ha, Rakah, Kodash, Ma'amah. Definitely want to give double honors to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Definitely want to give double honors to my elder apostle, Ahar One, Banyas Olive, the Lion's Den camp, located right here in Jacksonville, Florida. Shalom to the sincere men, women, and children, the Akim, Akwafim, and Bunyam that believe in sincerity and truth. Shalom to the Lion's Den camp. All right. Shalom, shalom. All right, today's lesson is going to be going over the MOTB, man. That's been it's been like the hot topic these last few really like this whole week really. Been going over the MOTB. People have been bringing it up after the AI video of the so-called Jake that had the implant in his head. He was walking around controlling things with his mind and stuff. All right. Here's a little information on the true MOTB, man. All right. Which is going to be it's going to be inserted into the hand or the forehead, and either the right or your dominant hand. Okay, not necessarily has to be your right. It can be either one. All right. As well as you can go into the Neuro link, all right, which is also a CHIP, all right, that goes into the brain, all right. But for right now, we'll deal with the RFID, all right. It says everything in this article here. It says everything you need to know before getting an RFID implant. It says, what if you could turn on a coffee machine by pointing to it? Want to be cyborgs with little RFID chips under their skin are living with us? I'm sorry, it says wannabe cyborgs with little RFID chips under their skin are living with us. It says tens of thousands of people implanted the tiny devices already under their skin to have simpler access to buildings or others like phones. All right, it says, there's a little picture of it. All right, it's the guy right there. But anyway, it says key takeaways. It says theoretically, RFID implants offer, right? We've been speaking on this for years, man. All right, how they were gonna make it so convenient for you, right? But ultimately, it's just gonna be like if you have an iPhone or a PlayStation, you're kind of familiar with stuff like what I'm finna explain. All right. So what they like to do is they like to implement stuff, and then they'll fade out the other stuff. So like when you dealing with like iPhone, all right, when the new iPhone comes out, what they tend to do is allegedly start sending out programs to the older iPhone, so they'll start messing up. Same thing with like the PlayStation 4 and dealing with the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Now, I'm just saying, I haven't had no problems with my PlayStation 4 until the PlayStation 5 came out. I'm just saying, but it tends to happen or plays out that way to where, now your older system is messing up and they kind of forcing you to get the new system, and that's pretty much what's going to happen dealing with the MOTB. They're going to make it to where you really ain't going to have a choice but to take it, and you're not going if you don't, you're not going to be able to be a part of the new society. All right, dealing with the smart city, dealing with purchasing items or selling items. You're pretty much just not going to be a citizen at that point. All right, but again, if you're an Israelite, it's not for us anyways. That's not, this system, the New World Order is not for us. All right, it's not for us to partake in that. In their new shit. Hell, we don't even partake in this system, let alone the new system that's coming, the New World Order. All right, but without that New World Order is basically going, without this device, right? Rather that's in the forehead or in the hand, you're not gonna be able to partake in society. The new society was coming. All right, they're getting ready for smart cities, y'all, and it's all that stuff plays hand in hand. All right, but it says theoretically, RFID implants offer practical benefits as contactless payments, unlocking doors, and accessing medical data with just a wave of your hand. However, the implants still face challenges such as safety concerns, potential infections, and limited data capacity, right? And they're not going to get the infection part. They're not going to get that. Let's go to Revelation 16:2. When I say they're not going to get that, it's definitely going to lead some infection. All right. Just to give you a hint on that, this is Revelation 16:2, and it says, "Man, why are they going crazy right now?" Salakia. It says, "And the first went," right? Revelation 16:2. Oh my gosh. It says, "And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast." Salaki. 1 second. They do this every single time. Like, please. Shut up. Stop playing. I'm Salaki, man. All right, it says, "And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worship his image," man. So there goes that infection, right? But it's gonna come from Yahweh Shem Yahushua. As the Lord gonna do that to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give you boils and sores, right? So they could try to adjust things, but it's definitely gonna happen, man. And that's gonna be the Lord showing his work. Like, yeah, y'all for all you ones that took that, man, y'all, you got a grievous sore coming your way. All right. And for the ones that, will end up taking it, it says, "However, the implants still face challenges such as safety concerns, potential infections, and limited data capacity, right? Ethical considerations surrounding privacy, surveillance." It's just gonna be just like Eagle Eye, if you ever seen that movie. Now, Eagle Eye is a great example to show you like how they're gonna use AI. All right. If you haven't watched it, I ain't gonna spoil it, but I would recommend going to watch that movie. Now that was basically just them dealing with a couple. AI was controlling a couple, guiding them to basically go assassinate a president. Basically controlling these people, made them, follow their rules, basically AI rules. Like, you either gonna do this or you're gonna be unalive, like type of thing. But anyways, it says surveillance, man, and potential. That surveillance is very crucial. Like, they want to be able to see and control and monitor everything. That's the new world order. That's what we're heading to, right? That's those 3 unclean spirits, man. Let's go back to Revelations. All right, we'll jump down Revelation 16. Let's jump down a little bit. Let's go to Revelation 16 and 13, and it says, "And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon." All right. So now these 3 unclean spirits go into like the military, right? Because remember, Rome, this is all the Roman Empire, but the Roman Empire fell and it came back into power, right? And when it came back up into power, you had it went into becoming the NATO and EU as well as America, all right? And through America, they was able to use their military force or might to basically control everything for these last 250 years, right? That military, that ever since they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? That's when people really saw like, oh yeah, America, their military is powerful, man. Basically scared all the other nations. All right, but they were set up like that for the last 250 years, man. It was, their destiny, America, to be that hem of the whole earth, man. All right, but going back to the three unclean spirits, man, going into that military, right? Going into the banking, right? Dealing with the dollar, right? Dealing with the banking families, right? Britain being basically having that wallet, as well as these banking families, right? Dealing with the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, so on and so on, that pretty much have infiltrated everything in America, right? They control it all, man. And then the religion, right? They use the religion. They've been using the religion, right? Dealing with the Vatican Church, dealing with Christians, how they used to operate back in those days, man. How wicked Christians were, back then, as far as dealing with people, unaliving people, stuff like that. If you haven't really looked into, I recommend looking into the history of dealing with the Christians, the Vatican Church, the Catholics, how they, use that religion to control everything, right? And they showed you that in the Book of Eli, right? In the Book of Eli, what was the main things? Damn, my tire a little low. What was one of the things the man said? He said, man, if I can get my hands on that book, I can control the world, right? So that's pretty much what they did. When they got their hands on the book, it was on and popping from there, right? They was able to control everything, right? Take the Lord's name out of the scriptures, completely just. Okay, I see. I got a nail in my tire. God damn it! But so yeah, they were able to control the scriptures and so on and so on, man. I mean, control the people through the scriptures, right? And they've been doing that for a very long time, right? And then when it came down to us, in slavery, they didn't give us the full book, right? And they wouldn't even allow us to read the book because they knew, that was the main thing the masters wanted, man. Don't let the niggas be able to learn how to read, because once they learn how to read, they'll take over. They know how powerful we really are as a nation, as a people, right? They know that we have a God up in the heavens, man, that's watching over us, man. They know that they have a short time to get all of their wicked deeds done, right? As the scriptures say, he was going to loose Satan for a little while, for a little season, to go out to deceive the nations, right? And that they don't have that long before Yahweh shall return, man. But going back to Revelation 16:13, it said, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, right? That's going back into basically what I was just talking about. Right, going back into the Roman Empire, right, which today that'll be America, NATO, and the EU, right? But America is holding that hammer, right? The military, right? They have that military force, right? They also have what is called fear. They also have put fear in the other nations, man, through their military, right? And then dealing with the rest of the other 2 clean spirits is dealing with the religion, as that false bullshit that they push, right? And they be able to control people and show miracles through that, right? As well as the dollar, man. Using the dollar to control the world, man. That's the currency of the world today. But it's not it's almost up out of there. We've done lessons on that, but that's not the point of this lesson today. All right, but it says, and out of the mouth of the beast, right? See, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. See, all right. It says, for they are the spirits of devils. You see that? They are the spirits of devils, man. These false prophets, right? That control the world, right? Through the Vatican Church, the Pope, all of them, right? As well as the what it said, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, man. Going into the military, the dollar, and the religion, man. It says for they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth, see, and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of the great day of Al-Sajah, right? Which is Yahweh, God Almighty. All right, so people got to understand that, man. At the end of the day, they have done that. They went out to deceive the world, deceive the nations, right? And right now, everything's being gathered. All these nations are being gathered to the valley of Jehoshaphat, man. All for the day of the Lord's judgment, man. That's what all of this is leading up to. The MOTB, the Armageddon, right? All of it, man. But we know not to take part into their wickedness, man. Dealing with their marks, right? The MOTB, not to take that. Not to take on any of their beliefs, to be separate from them, man, right? Because of what? Because Yahweh said what? Verse 15, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth, right? So we have to continue watching, continue paying attention to what's going on, because the Lord said what? He come as a thief. So when he show up, you got to be ready, man. He ain't gonna give you an announcement like, yeah, I'll be there in 2 years, or I'll be there in a year. If you ain't got your spirit right with the Lord today, you don't know, what I'm saying? You could be consumed today, at any moment, man. So it's best to be prepared, man, and be ready. It says, behold, I come, meaning have your spirit right with the Lord. Having your mind set on him at all times, right? And not on worldly things, This world is vanity, man. This world it will pass away, right? We're ready for that new heaven and that new earth, man. That's what we're waiting on, man. Well, righteousness comes through, man. That's what we're waiting on, man. We ain't trying to be part of this wicked shit, you know. It says, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keep his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. See that? You know? So you don't want to be naked out here like how Adam and Eve was once they took off the wisdom of the Lord and they started falling behind the serpent, you know. End up being naked out here, no covering. You know, the spirit of the Lord was gone at that point. All right, and you don't want to be like that, man. You know, you want to continue to be covered by Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Now you don't want to be found naked in shame, man. All right, so verse 16, it says, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. So just going into how the Lord is getting all his prophecies put together, man. It's like it's like a chessboard, man. The Lord is the master at playing chess. And right now, people don't understand it because they don't understand the prophecies. So they don't understand that we are right at the brink of him returning. You know, they lack the understanding because they lack the understanding of the prophecy. So they can't watch like they should be watching. All right, so back at the article, it says ethical considerations considering privacy, surveillance, and potential discrimination must also be addressed. Nevertheless, the idea offer a glimpse into a future where technology seamlessly integrates with our bodies. And that's what they want. That is what they want. I mean, they've been showing us in the movies for years, man, since I was a jit, you know, on how, you know, it's basically going to be like, not iRobot. I mean, you can kind of say that because he did have a mechanical arm, but it's gonna be damn, what's a good movie? I can't even think of. I mean, but it's been throughout all the movies, man. Even if you go back to the Jetsons, you know, like what it was gonna look like in the future, and that's where we've been heading. You know, they have been just putting all the ideas in our mind. You know, that's them trying to make it comfortable, make it normal for us. You know, I mean, even on Jetsons, man, they had flat screen TVs. I mean, they got iPads. They got flying cars. They or what you call drones. They got all kind of shit, man. On older stuff. You know, look at Demolition Man, man. If you ain't seen Demolition Man, go check that out. You know, on how everything's gonna be monitored, man. You couldn't even say a cuss word without getting fined on Demolition Man. You know, I might watch that tonight. Heads up. That's that 5, bro. Ooh, that boy Wesley was on that bit going crazy on that bad boy. But yeah, look at the hairstyle. Look at when they went to Taco Bell on that movie and what they was eating, man. Look at how they used the bathroom. Look how they made love on that movie. All through VR. That shit was all virtual reality, man. That's where we heading to, man. You know, they want to put on these devices in your body. You know, so that way they can, for control, for monitor, for surveillance, you know. Like why would we have to put on headsets to make love, man? But that's just, you know, it's in the movies. So go check it out, you know. But it says, what if you could open your front door or unlock your car just by raising your hand, never having to trouble yourself with your medical documents or remembering where you've put your wallet? What about sending your LinkedIn profile of a dancing monkey GIF to a phone? That's crazy. Well, I had to go there. But anyway, it says to a phone just by holding it. And what about turning it? Basically saying that you if you thought it, it's going to go in there, right? Just like how the Neuralink does, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so bad with the Neuralink. You know, I forgot the guy's name. Who was the first guy who got the Neuralink, but he was able to basically control, you know, stuff with his mind. That's fact. I might have to go grab that in a second. You know, control the mouse, control the computer. He was even able to play chess, you know, all with his mind. He was even able to play Mario Go-Kart. That's one of my favorite games. I'm gonna be real with you. And I can't be beat on Mario Go-Kart. I don't care who you is. Hey, hey, plug in. That's all I can say. If you think you can beat me on Mario Kart, even Mr. Neuralink, man, I guarantee you still won't be able to beat me on Mario Kart, buddy. But anyway, it's a, you know, all that stuff, man. That's where we heading to, man. cyborgs, you know. And once you become that cyborg, the Lord can't save you after that, man, because you belong to the system. You know, you basically took on the mark of your, well, for an Israelite, the mark of your oppressor, you know. It says, and what about turning on a coffee machine by pointing to it? That's crazy. It says, this is not the future anymore. Wannabe cyborgs with little RFID chips under their skins are living with us. Some 50,000 people have implanted the tiny device already under their skin to be able to have simpler access to buildings, access to buildings or other people's phones. Do you want to join the cyborg community? It says, here's what you should know about RFID, CHIPs. It says, before you implant them into your body. All right. Now, I'm not going to play the video. All right. If you want to go watch it, that's, you know, it's you can pull it up by Captain Cyborg and the RFID plant. All right. Matter of fact, it's 10 minutes long.
This is Dr. Meshku, the medical futurist. And today
I might have to do a few lessons on this. I haven't watched this. I haven't read this article, none of that. So this is all kind of like just through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. All right, it says the radio frequency, right, identification technology has been around for decades. It uses radio waves to exchange data between a tag embedded with an antenna and integrated circuit with a reader. RFID tags come in various types: passive, active, and semi-passive, and operate on different frequency bands, each with its own strengths and limitations. Damn. RFID has a wide range of applications, from tracking luggage and identifying pets to managing inventory in retail stores and even monitoring medical equipment in hospitals. It's also becoming increasingly prevalent in the, hold on, let me stop walking. It says prevalent in the Internet of Things, right? It says enabling everyday subjects to communicate with each other. You probably already have a personal RFID CHIP in your credit card, and they are increasingly used for access control, contactless payments, and even social interactions. Damn, see? So it's gonna go from the plastic, right, to being injected. It says the first ever human to receive an RFID CHIP, micro CHIP implant was British scientist Kevin Warwick, known by the, right, it says basically he was known as Captain Cyborg in 1998. This experiment allowed a computer to monitor Warwick as he moved through halls and offices of the Department of Cybernetics at the University of Reading, using a unique identifying signal emitted by the implanted chip. He could operate doors, lights, heaters, and other computers without lifting a finger. Damn, approximately 2 decades later, the technology has been made commercially available, and tens of thousands of people decided to implant an RFID CHIP. For example, groups of people have been meeting at implant parties. Damn, this is crazy, bro. What the hell? What the hell? Hey, congratulations. Shit. Somebody down the just had a reveal. So I guess she's finna have a little daughter, because the smoke came out pink. But anyways, it says, man, that's crazy. It says, right, for example, groups of people have been meeting at implant parties. What the fuck is going on out here, man? It's crazy, bro. It's often organized by larger companies to hook up. Wow, that's crazy, man. We've done videos on this before, man. Like if you look up RFID with Sweden, all of them pretty much already, what it said, linked up, hooked up. All of them already hooked up, what? And that's gonna be the new term for the MOTB, boy. You hooked up? Boy, no, boy, look here, don't get hooked up out here, boy. Ooh, shit. All right, it says, it especially popular. Damn, It's especially popular in Sweden, where more than 4,000. See, I didn't even know that was there, bro. Like, I promise you, I've just not started to read this. I haven't read this yet. It says, but we done videos on this, man, before. When I first got into the truth, what 4 years ago, maybe a little longer than 4 years ago. No, it's been 4 years. It says, I did my first video about Sweden and the RFID. It was like one of my first ones. But it says, well, more than 4,000 individuals can take pride in opening doors by only lifting their hands. So why is the rush? I just told y'all why earlier, right? They have but a short time, Let me see if I can get that real quick. That might not pull it up. There you go. All right, Revelation 12:12. Is this it? Right. It's Revelation 12:12, and it reads, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come." What the heck just happened? Okay, it says, "For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time." See that? You see that? Now, I don't know why. I always like to have them both up. But yeah, anyway, he ain't got nothing but a short time, man. Revelation 12:12, right? That's why it's being rushed, man. Cause look. One thing about it, two things for sure. We on the Lord's time, man. We on Yahweh's time at that, man. We on the Most High time, right? And when His prophecies need to be played out, man, it's gonna play out how He wants them to play out on His time, not on our time. That's why the scriptures always let you know, man. It's 1 day to the Lord is 1,000 years for us, man. So Yahweh Shai, our Lord and Savior, only been gone for 2 days, man. That's why people be out here flipping out like, oh, the Lord ain't coming back. It's been 2,000 years. You're right. It's only been 2 days for Him, man. Like, dang, chill out, But it says, why is the rush, and why should you consider implanting one? Hey, that might be my screen set. My thumbnail right there. All right, it says, congratulations, you've been RFID. You've been hooked up. It says you've been RFID chipped. In the future, an RFID chip implanted. And YouTube, you shouldn't be tripping on this, man, because I'm literally reading the article, man. All right, it says in the future, right, fair use, right, in the future, an RFID chip implanted into your hand between your thumb and your index finger on the back of your hand, right? It could contain a lot of useful information that you usually carry around in your wallet or purse. It could transmit your identity information as you walk through a security checkpoint, enable you to use public transport, and make long lines at the supermarket checkout a thing of the past. You wouldn't have to worry about losing your most important documents or your wallet ever again. And within hand's reach will most certainly have a second layer of meaning. Moreover, imagine that in a medical emergency situation, the first responders only have to scan your hand to get to know every valuable bit of medical data about you. And that right there is going why most people are going to take it. That right there. Oh, especially like people that got AFib, stuff like that. You can't take certain things. You can't, But anyway, because of the medical industry, that's why most people going to run to it to try to take that RFID, man. As well as the conveniency of it, and then most people just don't want to be left behind, man. They don't want to be, they can't go off grid, or they can't have the mindset to trust the Lord, allow the Lord to feed you, allow the Lord to, give you everything you need. They put their faith and trust into the government, man. The government is the one that pays, what gives them their security, So, man, right. Let's go to why the heck that shit keep doing that? I don't like it. I don't know why my phone keep doing that, but let's go to Revelation 13 real quick. Let's go down. What the hell? Maybe it's because it's raining water on my phone. All right, this is Revelation 13 and damn, and 14. I'm gonna jump down and get right to the point because I'm feeling this thing finna cut off on me. This is Revelation 16 and 16. 13 and 16. Revelation 13 and 16. And it reads, and he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. Excuse me, Salakia. Or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of man, and his number is 666. So when you go into that word 666, is Kaisai stigma, right? Which is the Greek, right? Before they translated into 666, it said Kaisai stigma. Now Kaisai stigma goes into something being implanted. It's going into like something implanted into the body, like a syringe. When you go into that word stigma, all right? But we done videos on that. It's multiple videos on that, man. Proving that the RFID, right, as well as the neuro, anything that's going to be injected into your body or placed in your body dealing with technology, where you become a cyborg. That's yeah. You done took the MOTB, my boy. So let's go to Revelation 16. Oh no, I already got that. I was lucky. This Revelation 14 and 9, it says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh. See, and that's what you don't want. You don't want to be out here, man, drinking, boy. You don't want to take part in that. The Lord punishing you, man, taking part in it. You basically taking on the punishment of the heathen at that point. Allowing the heathen to be next to you, getting roasted, man. You don't want that, man. You want to be on top of the chariots up there with the Lord, man, taking part in the marriage supper with him. You don't want to take part into what the heathens got to take part into. It says, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured out without mixture. See? Damn, boy, he ain't diluting nothing. He giving it to you blood raw. When that judgment come, boy, he giving it to you straight how it is. You taking it straight on, like a shot of whiskey. Boy, you ain't getting no Sprite, no Coke, none of that mixed in. It says, it says, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Right, man. In that day you're gonna be judged, man, with those motherfucking ICBMs. Boy, ain't no getting away from that, man. That when the Lord come and strike this place, sheesh, man, it's gonna be beautiful for us, but very dreadful for y'all. Lord, y'all rock the zone part of that number of being able to see it with my eyes only, man. But yeah.